there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have a couple of fun crafts for you today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some rustic country fall decor, so let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I have this really long board. It's just a salvage board. It's about 1 inch thick, about 3.5 inches wide. You can go whatever thickness or width you want. And I'm going to cut 3 pieces out of this board at 10 inches long. And we're going to, of course, glue them together and make us a rustic wood pumpkin. So here I am outside just doing some straight cuts. Usually I take this out for you guys because it's nothing exciting to see. But every once in a while I throw it in because maybe it's something exciting to see. So there you go. Once I get these cut, I'm also going to throw a little sanding detail in for you. You might want to sit down for this. You know who made that comment. I'm throwing a sit down for you, right? All right, so I just like to, all like those sharp edges like here, I like to really like smooth those out, make them kind of rounded, especially on the insides where all the 3 woods are going to connect. So it really gives us that segment look in the middle. I'll really kind of flatten those edges out. And so once they're all done, of course, nice and easy, I'm going to use this side up because it's still got that texture on it. The other side was more flat, and this side has that rough wood texture, and I didn't sand it too much because I wanted that to stay there and give us a lot of that rustic texture. Of course, I'm using wood glue and just wood gluing them all into position. I love that the middle piece has the holes and everything in it. It's going to really add to it. I'm going to clamp this up. I do glue the stem off camera. And then I have 3 wood stars here. These come from craftingwithkimber.com. I think it's a 3-inch size. I'll have a link down below for you. I could glue 2 together, but I'm going to go with 3 because I want it really thick and really come up off of our pumpkin. So I'm just using some wood glue here to glue all 3 together. You could use whatever glue, but I had the wood glue out, so why not? Perfect, and I'm going to go ahead and clamp that as well, just for about 10 minutes or so. And then that's dry, of course, and I'm coming in with my Waverly Antique Wax. You can see I've got my old jar there. It's really watery. Mix it with water. I'm painting the outside. My stem, I believe, is glued on there. It's just a stick from the backyard. And now I'm taking these burlap leaves from Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting smaller leaves out of them. Okay, now I'm going to take this Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Magnolia. It is a new shade. It reminds me of the Debbie's Design Diary White Swan chalk paint. All right, and I'm just kind of painting the middle. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll take it outside to sand it off camera. And now I've got this beautiful piece of plaid scrapbook paper, and I'm tracing my star onto the back side of it, the front of my star onto the back side of the paper. And then I'm coming in about 1/4 inch, and I'm redrawing that star perimeter. Boy, I haven't said that in a while, huh? And then I'm going to cut this out, and then it will fit in the center of our star, of course, leaving a little bit of that wood edge that we stained around the perimeter. You could cover it edge to edge if you want, but I just like that little bit of wood peeking out like this. Okay, now I'm going to take these pieces to the sewing machine. Here I am just kind of, there it is, sewing my star. I'm sewing on regular papers, you can see, using normal stitches, normal needle, not doing anything fancy. It goes through it perfectly wonderful. Now this paper is kind of a little thicker like a cardstock, but plain, just kind of thinner scrapbook paper works just fine as well. And then I'm going to bring in the leaves. I've already done, you can see sewing on there. I'm actually going around the same sew perimeter about 3 times on each leaf so that that thread really shows up. And then I'm taking the edge of my scissor blades and I'm scraping along the edges of that paper, and it kind of releases a little bit of a white core around the edge, and it gives it kind of a halo look, so it'll help pop that paper up off of the wood. Now I'm going to take Distress Oxide ink and Walnut Stain. I'm going to ink around the edges a little bit. It's kind of hard to see on camera because the paper's already kind of that color, but then I'm going to go ahead, ink it anyway, and ink the leaves up a little bit more. I've already done a little bit of inking, as you probably saw. Now I'm gluing the paper onto the front of our star, so stinking cute. Love me a little plaid for fall. And then I'm cutting some popsicle sticks to put on the back of the star. I was going to do it, 2 popsicles thick, but later you see me glue like another popsicle stick because I want to lift the star up off of the pumpkin to make room for some excelsior underneath. All right, here's my pumpkin the paint already distressed, sanded it outside like I said, and now I'm going to add in a little bit more scrapbook paper. This is a great page with ephemera on it. It's like by Tim Holtz, you know, the ink we use, and I'm just going to cut some little pieces out. I don't end up using this piece here, but I wanted to add a little bit more paper to it. This is whether you like it or not. If you don't do it, but I just kind of want to add a little bit. Sometimes I just want to throw back to my scrapbooking days, and believe me, I have enough scrapbooking product to do it. So I'm cutting the pieces out, and I'm cutting this telegram out for a reason, because we're going to put a little tag on the front of the star. This right here that says Hello Pumpkin. I've printed it onto some fabric. Link in my description box to my blog. There'll be a different PDF PNG of this and in a bigger size of the same quotes. You can download whichever one you want, and a link to how to print on fabric if you've never done that before. But because of that little tag, I want it to be like Hello Pumpkin, like it's a telegram to fall. Do you know what I mean? So that was my reason for using that little strip of paper. All right, here you can see I've sewn around the edges so that it matches in with everything else I've been sewing around. And now here's where I'm going to add a little bit more height with the popsicle stick as Bella joins us. And then we'll go ahead and glue that onto the back of our star. So it's really going to lift that star up. All right, and now I'm scraping around the edges of my other scrapbook paper so it matches what I did on the star. You don't have to do this at all. I have just been doing this since my days of scrapbooking to give it that rustic look, so it just comes natural to me. And now I'm taking some black paint mixed with water and a fan brush, and I'm just adding some splatters on the front of the pumpkin. And then I'll do the top and the side here as well. And then I'll skip over to adding some splatters to some of the other pieces. But don't worry, I finished the other side of the pumpkin as well as the back off camera because I want it to look all complete. Here I am doing the splatters on the star. A little bit on this button I'll be using, and then only on a couple sheets of scrapbook paper because you don't want everything splattered. It's too much. All right, now we're going to start decorating. I'm using this paper covered wire from Hobby Lobby. And just going to wrap it around, give it a little bit of a whimsy look. And then here's my leaves. We're going to go ahead and glue those on. See, the sewing and the inking really kind of helped pop those up a little bit. And it kind of adds to the darkness of the color on the stem, right? So there you go. And then this is some pip berries and little gems and things like that. I found at Goodwill this big old thing, you know, in their fall section, I don't know, about 3 years ago. So glued that on. Here's some mesh tubing from Dollar Tree. I took 2 pieces and knotted them together. Come to think of it, I didn't see that mesh hanging this year. I wonder if they're done with it. Do you guys have it in your store? Anywho, here's some raffia. I just tied a little half knot in it, some thick twine into a bow. And then this is some of that orange and cream plaid ribbon from Hobby Lobby. And I've got that tied into the bow. And then some of these pumpkins from Dollar Tree. Just going to use one. All right, and then here's the Excelsior I use from Hobby Lobby. I had to think where I was for a minute. All right, so I glued down the mesh tubing. Now I'm gluing down the raffia, and then I'm gluing the bow over the top, both bows actually, and it becomes quite a big area there of bows, but don't worry, that little bitty pumpkin will cover it. All right, now I'm taking some of the scrapbook paper. I'm going to go ahead and put it down darkest on the bottom first. The other two, I like the way they were setting, so I'm just holding them in place as I glue it. I picked it up that way, so I keep them in that position and then just gluing the whole thing down. And it's just a little bit, and it really does go in with the cute little fabric tag. Now, this is some more wired stuff. You can get this at the like floral section of Hobby Lobby. It's a little bit stiffer. I thought it just needed a little bit more. It wasn't heavy enough, if you know what I mean. The paper covered wire is a little bit too light, and so I thought this with that wire, like as if I can get any more on the top of this pumpkin, but you know I will. The dark brown of it adds in with the stem and kind of the darkness of the sewing, this part, see, of the leaves. So it kind of ties it all in together. That's my thinking anyway. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get our star down here. And I'm going to pull the star back up. I can see where the glue was. So I'm going to add glue around that, about an inch around that perimeter. All right, put my star right back down in position and then take a popsicle stick and then I can push that raffia underneath the star into that outer parameter of glue that I put down there. I don't know how I thought of that, but smart, right? Adding in the raffia around there. And I do add a little bit up top off camera so it all kind of blends in together. And then I'm inking around my little Hello Pumpkin tag that I sewed around. Really cute. And then here's the button. I just added some of that black wire you can get from Dollar Tree automotive section. Left long tails so I can curly cue them around the end of a paintbrush. And then I'll just kind of squish them down to the button. Gives a little more whimsy than just always using like thread or twine. And I'll go ahead and glue the tag down. Perfect, making sure that I can still see kind of that telegram word underneath. And then gluing the button down. Cute, and plus the curly cues on that wire goes up with all the curly cues on top. And to go over all those bows we made, the knots, I'm taking a nice hole out of the bottom of that pumpkin, and that hole obviously will just gobble up those knots so that all that perimeter around the pumpkin looks clean. You don't see all that center of those knots and stuff like that. When I put this down and lift my hand, you'll see it just stays. It's perfect. I don't know how I thought of it. That makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the results at the end of the video. Let's move on to project number 2. For this project, I have this old vintage drawer. You can use whatever size you want, but I didn't want too big because I didn't want to have to fill it with a lot of flowers. Now you know we're filling it with flowers. About 9 1/4 inches in length. The tallness is about 3 inches, and the width of the opening about 5 1/4-ish. Okay, and then I got these from a friend. She was selling a lot of her stuff off. These are like the slats to either wine barrels or whiskey barrels, and I'm going to cut one piece. I only got like 5 of them at 8 inches, so it can be a sign for the front of the drawer. And then I'm taking this knob off, of course, it's in the way, and I'm going to do the other 2 slats up the top like this. And then I'll cut a little handle for the top as well. And I'm going to glue and nail them on to about like that. So I'll cut each one of those to about 12 inches in length. And of course, here I am showing you, because we all know the excitement of it all, cutting my wood pieces down to the size I want. I will sand them off camera. All right, so I like kind of the front of the drawer where it has a little bit of paint. So I decided I'm gonna paint around the sides a little bit as well. But first I need to kind of mark off where my handles are gonna sit on each side, because I want to wood glue those down. This side I'll have to kind of sand that paint off a little bit, but I want to wood glue these down so I don't want to paint in that section. Of course, I'll be using some Gorilla Glue for this and some just little nails. I think they're about 3/4 inch in size. All right, so here I am. I'm just painting around the sides of the box, just real loosely and light. This side, I didn't bother getting all that stuff off there because I'm covering it with the sign anyway. All right, and then off camera, I'll kind of sand it and distress it up so it looks like the front of that one drawer, side of the drawer, front of the drawer, this drawer. Whatever drawer we're working on. Here's what that looks like. None of that made sense. All right, now I'm adding some wood glue in. Please stay subscribed. Adding my handle here, or my side on it, and just making sure I've got it measured and everything good before I add the clamps on. Make sure the bottom's even, basically. I don't want it crooked. And then, of course, I'll do the same thing to the other side. Putting that on. And then I will clamp it up, making sure I'm the same distance from the bottom as, the original side we just did, or previous side we just did. I am in fine form today. And now I'm marking where my handle is going to go. This was literally just a piece of wood that, as I was cutting it for some other project, it kind of broke, and it broke at that slant. And so when I sanded it, I had to kind of sand each end as a curve as well, because of the curve of these slats here. So now I'm just going to, that piece of wood couldn't have been any more perfect. It just added the rusticness to it. So I'm going to add this in with some wood glue into the areas where I marked them. And then once that all sets up, of course, I'll add some nails and stuff to the end of that as well. I'm going to clamp that and let that sit for a bit. All right, now while we're waiting, this is just a leftover piece from those planks you can get at Dollar Tree, package of planks. These are a package of the wood pumpkins from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to use Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Terracotta with my Waverly wax. I'm going to punch some holes with my Crocodile at the top of my little sign first, so that's ready to go. And then I'll use the Waverly wax for the stem on the front and back, because the stem will stick off the sign a little bit. And then I'll use the wax again on the sign part, the actual sign here around the edges and everything, because the front and back will be seen. The back body of the pumpkin will not, so I don't worry about that. And then I'm painting a couple of coats of that terracotta on here. And then I end up, I think I sand it off camera, I do this one, I guess I do all of it. I'm doing a little distressing around the edges and around the pumpkin a little bit, of course. That way it goes in with the rest of our distressing. And then here is my little sign part I'm putting on my sign. Cut it out of vinyl. Look to your left. I will have a free printable for you. I did it. There'll be 2 different files, PDF, PNG, and then 2 different versions. So you have the top design, like the one I'm using on my sign, and the bottom design. So you're going to have all these different designs and file forms to choose from. All right? And of course, Bella's is joining us again. Boston's always off napping most of the time when I'm crafting. So you usually just get to see Bella here. All right, and then I'm going to glue my pumpkin onto the little sign. And then I want to add some splatter, so I'm splattering the pumpkin and then the bigger sign. And of course, if you don't have like a cutting machine, you can paint it on there. You can use letter stickers. You can print it onto paper and then glue paper on the front of your sign, however you want to do it. And then I'm adding some splatters onto the box so it matches the other pieces that we did as well. I just show a little bit of splattering here, but I will splatter all around it. And then here's some of that wire from the automotive section at Dollar Tree. And I'm just curling the end of it. I put it from the back of the sign to the front through the hole, curled the end. And now I'm going to wrap it around here and then come back through the hole and curl it. But I will show you, I end up taking it back off and adding some curls on the other parts of the wire as well, because that just it didn't look right. And I wanted to wrap it around the handle so that it wasn't constantly falling off the edge of our side of our box there. All right, now I'm gluing down the sign. When I sanded these, I had to really sand flat around the edges because these slats are curved, so I needed them flat to have some kind of gluing area on the back of the sign to be able to stick to the box. And that goes the same for the slats up the side. And of course, as now you can tell, I am hammering my nails in. I'll do the ones on the side of the box and the handle off camera. Here I am. I've got some gel foam. This is just kind of a leftover piece. So of course I'm going to cut it to fit the inside of my box. I leave the plastic on it so that I can add glue to it and it'll sit in the box, or I guess it's a drawer. Because a lot of times with that Fabri-Tac glue, it just kind of melts that foam. So I just leave the plastic on. I'm going to use these wildflower bushes from Dollar Tree. I've got these mums, but I don't want to use the mums. I want to use these little pieces off of the mums. So I'm going to cut those off. And then I'm going to use some of these velvet pumpkins, the dark orange. Some of these silver dollar leaves, all from Dollar Tree. Really pretty. Use the oranginess of it. As you can tell, I'm kind of going cream beige orange. And then that one flower, the middle one, I don't know what I got that off of, but then a couple of these kind of cream sunflowers. So I'm going to stick all the wildflowers in first so it really fills the box. I wish I had a few more, but I don't. So there it is. But I love these. Jen, Mother Time, showed these on her channel, I don't know how many months ago, and they look so cute just sticking up out of a cute vase, so I had to go and get some. But I only got a few, had already used some. I went back for some more, and of course they were gone. But anyway, there's my story. But I love these. So putting them in, and then I'm going to put some leaves kind of on either side. And then I also put some off the back, but maybe I do that off camera. I don't remember, at least part of it. And then I'm going to put in these little pieces from that mum bouquet. So it gives the same color, but a little bit different, you know, design of flower, of course. And putting some in the back as well. As you can see, I changed view for you. And then I'm putting this one in. I just thought that orange matched so beautiful with the leaves and stuff. And then the sunflowers. I will make them look better off camera because I just kind of stick them in here for now. And then I'm adding in the pumpkins. Love the dark one. My nails match my project. I know! Can't believe it. Just had them done. It's fall, baby. And I'm adding some of the leaves in the back. I thought I did that off camera, but there. Then I thought I did them on camera, and now you see them. And then I'm using some of these sticks from Hobby Lobby. I thought it would give it a little more of a rustic. So I just used like 5 of them and just kind of put them, you know, couple in the front, couple in the back, one in the middle. there, but not there. I try to use the ones that aren't really like, I try to use the skinnier ones and stuff just to give a little something, you know, ones that don't look real bold. And then, of course, we got to fill in around and fill up all that green gel foam. We don't want any of that. I always call it gel foam, styrofoam. We don't want any of that in there. So I'm adding moss around and covering all of that up and then across the front. And I leave some hanging around the front across the sign because I think that looks cute. And that makes this project complete. So I hope you like both of these projects. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you liked one or both or neither. It's okay if you don't like them. I love me a little bit of rustic country. It really goes beautiful with fall decor. One side note, October I got a little jury duty, so we have one more fall video coming up, and then I will probably throw in, we're going to start into Christmas, I'll probably throw in a mega Christmas video, maybe a thrifting video, because if I don't have time to craft, you know how that goes with jury duty, but we'll see. One more video for fall is what I want to get at, and then we're going to start into Christmas. Please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow, and if you all know about that hype button, HYPE, if you see that little hype button on my video, it's kind of usually down with the area where you save the video or you share it or anything like that. Please hit that hype button, because as my points grow, YouTube sees I have a lot of points and they take the smaller channels with a lot of hype buttons and they throw it out into, you know, the mix and get you a little bit more viewing with your videos. And you all know I'm trying to get my channel to grow. If you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off, you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. Now, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Daily, as we walk by faith, we need to be walking in God's truth because both go hand in hand. One should not be without the other if we expect to survive the enemy's tactics on the battlefield. Our faith is our shield and God's truth is our sword of defense on the front lines as we come face to face with the enemy standing straight ahead of us. Often as we approach battle, our first instinct is to run and hide. Fear and anxiety also want to tag along to keep us company while frantically trying to place a phone call to feelings of being weak and susceptible to the launch of any weaponry that the enemy wants to use against us. But when we have a strong core of God within us, we are stable and guarded against the enemy's schemes. God's truth, together with our faith in Him, instills within us a powerful sense of a unified fighting force. With God as our commander, He wields His double-edged sword of truth toward the enemy. With His power, it gives us focus under any stress we are under, and as we stand firm behind our shield of faith, it gives us the strength to endure all things. We must rely on our bond with God so that our human instinct to run and hide takes a back seat as we stand firm on the front lines, staring fear and anxiety right in the face. Being weak and susceptible to the enemy will get a busy signal as we no longer stand alone. With God leading and guiding us, His truth will reign all-powerful as our faith gives us the courage to make the outcome worth everything that we stand up and fight for. No weapons formed against us shall prosper when God's truth is our shield in everyday life. Single-handedly, truth is our only protector that cuts and thrusts in both directions as we stand up against whatever the enemy tries to take us down with. We have to stay grounded in God's truth to win the war because it's our foundation. It's the rock on which we stand, and it makes everything we do worthwhile. It makes following God worthwhile in good times and bad. In the Bible, the book of Psalms, chapter 62, verse 2, it says, "He alone is my rock and my salvation, my defense and my strong tower. I will not be shaken or disheartened." Here's the truth of it all. God will always make our paths straight, and He alone is our light in any darkness. He will always be there for us encouraging us, protecting us, loving us, fighting for us, and fighting with us. And the best part, God outranks the enemy in strength. Hear my words. God outranks the enemy in strength. So soldiers, it's time to stand at the ready. It's time to stand tall with our feet firmly planted, immovable, unshakable, fitted with the shield of faith, so that at God's very command, His truth can extinguish the enemy's arsenal. And then, and only then, when the enemy is finally defeated, God shall make the enemy a footstool under our feet. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 21. Therefore, says the Lord, behold, I will make them know. This time I will make them know my power and my might, and they will know and recognize without any doubt that my name is the Lord. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.